Welcome to Inside Bremerton. This is the City of Bremerton's video newsletter focusing on issues and topics important to its citizens. We could not have picked a better day to be in Lionsfield. It is absolutely stunning. It's a fabulous Tuesday morning. It's approximately, I bet it's getting close to 70 degrees. Lots of folks out enjoying the park today, kids at the playground, some fellas playing softball. Joining me today to talk about the Parks and Recreation long-range plan is Richard Nerf and Win Birkenthal. Welcome.
Great to be here. Yeah.
So, first of all, I want to introduce my guest. Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a physicist by profession. I retired here from Houston with my wife, Judy, in '99. And we just came here for those mountains over there and that water over there and that city across the ferry line, and just love the place. And one of the things that we found out here is that people out here actually plan for the future. A lot of people don't know it, but Houston has no zoning. They don't have a comprehensive plan or anything like that. They don't even have an idea of what will go in next door to you.
Wow.
So came here in '99. My wife and I were involved in the comprehensive plan for the city of Bremerton. Did some with the county, did some with the shoreline management, and found that just a very good way to get to know the community. It's also a very good way to get where you can judge the character of the people who run the city. So it's nice to be talking to these professionals, both political and in a particular field, and to find out that government is not as bad as is advertised on the news.
That's awesome.
That there are a lot of excellent people here working for us.
How long you are on our Parks and Recreation Commission, and how long have you served on that?
About 6, I guess, 6 years.
Very good. So you've been through the total understanding what the Parks and Recreation Commission's role is.
I think, to a certain extent, yes, but one of the things that as we look at rewriting the plan, one of the things is that Parks and Recreation do lots and lots of things. And even having been here 6 years, there are things that I've either don't know or have forgotten, because there must be, I don't know, 20, 30 parks, and in a dozen activities that happen here. If you look around here, you've got, well, just sitting around on a bench or taking a walk or playing a softball game or being in a playfield or up the hill at Stevenson's Canyon. You can be in just woods walking around. And all of these activities have very different characteristics, both in terms of how much they take to run and who enjoys them.
Very good. Win, let's hear a little bit about your background. You've been with Parks and Recreation for about 6 years. Where were you before that? You are a Parks and Recreation professional.
To the bone. Prior to coming to Bremerton, I was Parks and Recreation Director in the city of Richland, Washington, and did that for about 7 years. And prior to that, I was Parks and Recreation Director in the Spokane area for another 10 years.
Where's home? Are you a back east guy?
Well, I was born in Princeton, New Jersey, but given the kind of crowding and heat and humidity of the East Coast in the summertime, once I saw Washington and Oregon and British Columbia, I knew this is where I would transplant myself at an early age.
Awesome. When how many comprehensive plans, and it is called a Parks Comprehensive Plan, but we're calling it the Long Range Plan, not to get confused with the city's comp plan. How many have you been involved in?
Well, taking a quick review of the math, I'd say since we do one every 6 or 7 years, probably 4 or 5.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's get started with our questions. We do want citizens to participate. The city is conducting a survey. We want you to get involved in shaping the future of our Parks and Rec plan. So what exactly is the plan, Wynn? We want you to start that off for us.
Well, the Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan basically is a plan that tells us what our inventory is, what kinds of parks, recreation facilities, and trails that we have. And it goes into defining a list of goals and objectives for those facilities and for acquiring and developing new ones and how those should be operated and maintained. And so you have an inventory, goals and objectives, and a public input portion, which is what we're working on right now, comes through both public meetings and the survey, which we'd like to get as many people as possible to fill out so we can get citizen desires reflected in that plan.
Mm-hmm. And Richard, you can attest to citizen input, because Richard has lived in an area where there's been no citizen input, let alone any government kind of planning. So we want people to get involved. Tell us a little bit about the survey, Richard. How was the survey even compiled? And I understand you were involved in that.
Yeah, when we knew that we were going to go back into another plan, we looked at the survey which was done at the previous one. And that plan and the survey was written by a professional organization that does planning, or that it facilitates planning. And one of the characteristics that we sort of said is this is very much a mishmash of a survey. It's kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we on the Parks Board talked about what can we do to make it more uniform, and also what is our purpose. And one of the things that we said was a survey really goes two ways. That is, when we ask the question, we want to make sure that the person who's answering it has the big picture at least partly in mind. If you go typically to a meeting, people will come in with one idea that's on their mind and they kind of ignore everything else around.
I want more soccer fields.
Yes, and that sort of thing. And so we made the survey where the first questions are, which parks of ours do you know? Which parks do you use? So that at least both informs us as to what person is talking to us, but also informs them of, oh, have you thought about this particular thing? And then we list the various activities that you can do in a park, from sitting on a bench to talking with someone, to sitting on a bench and looking at this wonderful viewscape that we have, to being very active recreationally or open space, that sort of thing. And the unpleasant part of this is that at the moment we're in an austerity situation. Wynn has had to cut lots of folk and lots of dollars, and we're not sure that that's not going to continue. So what is unusual, I think, about the survey we've got is each question has two prongs to it. One is, if we get some more money, what should we do? If we got to stick with what we've got or even less, what should we do? So it'll give people the ability to say, well, I'd rather us cut out soccer and focus on this, or if, that is, allow them to balance what they think is, both in the situation where we are going forward, and previous plans have pretty much always assumed we're going to go forward from where we are.
That's right.
And we're just in the position where we have to be able to consider both forks of that road.
When how involved was the Park Commission on developing the survey and the long-range plan?
Remarkably involved. I look at the last long-range plan, the Park Commission actually reviewed the drafts as they came through with written by the consultant largely. And this plan is a little different because we don't have any dollars for professional consultants. And so the plan will be done in-house by a combination of staff and the Parks and Recreation Commission. And it's a group of folks that have stepped up to bat tremendously in taking on what's really a pretty big task, both in terms of the plan and the survey. And Dick and others have done a marvelous job of diving in and using their expertise that they've acquired through their lifetime and work and applying it to the Parks and Recreation Plan and the survey. And so we're really, really happy to have their help and their expertise as we go through this.
So, when did this process begin? If we're just getting now the public input piece, all the, like you said, inventory and information like that, where are we at in the whole process?
Well, we have, we're actually, rather than starting from scratch, we're updating this plan right here. And so we have an inventory and we have goals and objectives. And so our first step was going back about 3 months to take a look at, well, what in here needs to be altered and changed. And actually a lot of things, because when you take a look at the inventory, for instance, it'll say in Lions Park that there's a large parking lot on the waterfront. And of course, that's been redone going back 3 years ago. And so there's been a lot of the goals that were listed in the 2007 plan have been accomplished. And of course, what we want to do is correct the document to reflect that, and also to be able to establish new goals to project forward, and not to sit back on our laurels of what we've done, but aspire to make this park system better than it is right now over the next 7 years.
So, Richard, how do folks get involved? We want them to go online and do the survey. How else can they participate?
Well, there are two options with respect to the survey. One is go to the city website. On the front page, right up at the top, is Take the Parks survey. And you can do that on your computer. You can do that on your iPad. You can do it on your iPhone. We've checked it out, and it works decently on all those media. If that's not conducive to the way you do business, we have paper copies that are available from Wynn's office. I don't know the distribution of them outside of that, but I'm sure there will be. And
Norm Dix Senior Center and Sheridan Community Center all have paper copies.
And so it's a little bit over, it's 20 some odd questions. It's not a small survey, but it will give you lots of chance to think about it, and then on every question there is, what more can you tell me? Thing. So if we've missed the point, you can let us know that what is important.
Great.
And I think one of the things I've heard from all the professionals down at Parks and Rec is that the last survey, the most valuable parts were in fact those comments. That whenever you're posing questions that have only a few answers, you're kind of filtering it. Whereas the citizen may know something that you just haven't gotten your head around, and that's important.
So, when is there a first draft that comes out, and how do folks respond to that, and how is it presented?
I suspect there'll be at least one and possibly two drafts that will be distributed to the public. The most efficient way to do that is to make those drafts available online and to allow people to comment, and we're still working out the details of that. We're going to hold our first public meeting on the park plan on July 23rd at 5:30 p.m. in the Sheridan Center, 680 Lebo Way. And from there, we'll go over some of the survey results, and we'll start to collect comments and update our goals. And I anticipate that by sometime in mid to late September, that first draft will appear for public comment.
Who actually mandates that a city does these comprehensive plans?
The state of Washington requires that if you're going to apply for certain parks and recreation and trail grants, that you have an active plan in force and adopted by your city council. And basically, your eligibility for grants is dependent on that document being up to date, and that's actually a pretty good hammer.
Yep.
Because without that outside funding that we receive from the state and the federal government, many of our park improvements wouldn't be possible. So we're not going to let our plan go out of compliance.
Very good. Very, very good. So can folks read the plan as it's being updated? Are things all going to be online on the city's website?
There's the current plan, which is a good basis for trying to figure out what direction the park system is going now, and that is available. And when the first draft comes out, that will be available online. But right now, there really isn't we haven't taken that step to have a document that brings this forward from 2007 to 2013. That'll be coming between now and mid-September.
Very, very important tool for our Parks and Recreation Department, and we appreciate the Parks Commission stepping up and helping this process along with WIN's staff. It's a big undertaking.
It is.
And the writing is a big undertaking. So what we want to do is urge our citizens, so if you're seeing this on BCAT and you are interested in parks and recreation facilities, programs, open space, please go online, go to the city's website, www.ci.bremerton.wa.us. You will see right at the header, Parks, Recreation, Open Space. Is that how it's titled? You'll see it, you won't miss it.
No.
Please take the survey, tell your friends, tell your family. This is your chance to really help shape the future of our community, Parks and Recreation, and the treasure that we really have in our beautiful open space. Anything for closing? We thank you for your time and
Well,
your interest.
Well, we want to be able to thank the people to come in. The more people who participate, the better we'll get a plan, and the more robust it'll be, the harder it will be for people to change it at a whim. And if you watch what happens with public meetings, very often it's because somebody has decided to do something without looking at the relevant comprehensive plan.
Very good. Win, any final thoughts?
Yes, please take the survey. We need your input. And from that, please take a read of the draft plan when it comes out and let us know what you think.
Good. Once again, go to the city's website, www.ci.bremerton.wa.us. Check out the survey. Please participate and enjoy your Parks and Recreation Department. Beautiful, beautiful locations. Check them all out. Thanks for joining us on Inside Bremerton. We'll see you next time.